Welcome to this week's Rural Entrepreneur Weekly webinar. This week we are going to be doing a high-level overview on the importance of mentorship, especially for underserved and minority-owned businesses. My name is Addison Vang, and I am a Community Development Educator with the University of Wisconsin-Madison Division of Extension. And this is just a quick overview of the breakdown of this video. So entrepreneurship is an important part of the local economy and has played an important role as a sustainable economic development strategies for many communities. A study has shown that over time, entrepreneurs not only support the local economy, but also provides many benefits to its community as well. So one of those benefits is job creation. About a third of all new jobs are created by new businesses. And while existing businesses do create jobs, they also cut jobs through layoffs and closures. Entrepreneurships support in the overall higher GDP for cities and counties, and it's an opportunity to support underserved and marginalized populations to get out of poverty and reducing their dependency on welfare. Entrepreneurs tend to also be able to provide a lot of innovative products as well as services. Often they will fill niches that may not exist in the community, such as ethnic grocery stores. And with these smaller businesses, they tend to also be more local, where they also have a much more of a focus with the a focus in the community, as compared to many franchises and much larger businesses. This commitment to community often results in them supporting in the makeup and creating that character for many community identities. And an example of that are the Chinatowns that exist throughout the US, as well as right here in Wisconsin with Milwaukee's Third World Ward. And so mentors come in many different forms. They could be teachers, professors, other business owners, even bankers and consultants, advisors. You never really know exactly who is going to be a mentor or where they come from. So one of the benefits of a mentor is that they act as a compass. They help you navigating your business quickly and more efficiently in order to reach your goals to have a successful business. They allow you to reduce the learning curve as a new entrepreneur and be able to really focus on just how to create a successful business as opposed to dealing with identifying finances and dealing with business obstacles. They also are able to help you with identifying programs to support your business just with their wealth of knowledge and experience. So, why underserved and marginalized entrepreneurs? It is important to understand the challenges for underserved and businesses owned by people of color as they often deal with cultural, language, and systematic issues, as well as biases and racism that exist. So first off, underserved entrepreneurs tend to have a limited network, connecting them to resources due to institutionalized systems, cultural and language barriers, as well as a network that may share similar limitations to a path to success. Um, Looking at business associations and local chambers that who often support much larger business as opposed to smaller minority-owned businesses. These associations also tend to be more white and male, making it much harder to break into these professional networks. In addition to these small businesses often not having enough resources to invest invest with their time to play a much bigger role in these associations. So finding mentors becomes much harder with a limited network. And then they also tend to have limited capital assets as well as access. So thinking about this, often people think of banks, and where banks, with the white majority, they tend to encourage and trust in banks as a wise choice. Black and people of color have historically been taken advantage of by these institutions. They tend to have higher interest rates, riskier investments, as well as just completely being denied access to these banking institutions. So often this leads to business owners of color having just less history, less relationship and connections to banks. And often financial programs tend to also incentivize uh, larger businesses to participate in, which are less likely to be businesses that are owned by people of color. These non-traditional entrepreneurs' difficulties accessing capital are further compounded by other challenges, such as just a lack of formal business training, businesses located in distressed neighborhoods that may suffer from crime and blight, or just the perceptions that they are, and they tend to have less foot traffic, as well as being in more gentrified areas with increasing rents. So all of this contributes to having a lack of relationship, lack of trust, more bias between these underserved business owners and financial institutions. Another issue is specifically with just capital assets. Many businesses that are owned by people of color, when they're starting, they don't have the disposable assets, the financial assets to hire consultants and advisors to support in successfully starting up a business. So business owners of color already have an uphill battle with existing systematic disadvantages, even when programs are designed with an effort to support these small business owners. Um, Looking at federal programs, such as most recently the Paycheck Protection Program as a COVID relief program to support small businesses. One of the focus was on marginalized, underserved small businesses, which did not quite get to them. And one of the reasons was that a lot of the program was administered mostly by large financial institutions who tend to not serve people of color. The program, again, incentivized larger businesses that are not owned by businesses of color, and it also prioritized existing bank relationships. So some of the strategies to address these systematic gaps and targets and resources to better support business owners of color includes, accessing to direct and tailored support, interpretation, translation services, making sure that funds are channeled through local community organizations or administered programs with very defined set mandates and guidelines targeting these underserved communities. So as an example of one of these programs is the Entrepreneur in Training Partnership, which is a extension program, and it offers free entrepreneurship, job readiness, and personal development training program for currently and formerly incarcerated community members to help transform their lives, create future business leaders, and people with to create future business leaders for those people with criminal backgrounds and histories through a rigorous entrepreneurial training program. The program targets a underserved population where many identify as a person of color. So there are many opportunities throughout the year to participate, but also to participate as a coach or mentor as well. And there are other resources from extensions that provide entrepreneur support from all walks of life. So Color Bold Business Association is a organization led by people of color, supporting new and established entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders of colors that provides resources, events, and highlights businesses of color. And there are many more like businesses like this, organizations like this, supporting throughout the state as well as locally. And again, just a list of some resources to kind of think about are, our Wisconsin Latino, the Hmong Wisconsin, and the LGBT Chamber of Commerce, as well as SCORE for Black entrepreneurs. And then we also just have some typical local resources, our business associations with such as the restaurant associations, looking at your local chambers of commerce, the small business development centers, and then looking for some of these innovation and business incubators, such as Generate out of Madison and Collab out of Eau Claire. And this is more resources that Extension has to offer, supporting businesses as well as entrepreneurs of color. And with that, I want to leave you with this quote of, that definitely is how a lot of businesses owned by people of color operate, which is, I have not failed. I've just found 10,000 more ways that won't work. And oftentimes I feel like this is really how they operate, always finding obstacles and trying to figure out how to get past that. And they make it work. But there's a easier way, a better way to do it with just a little help and support. And with that, I would like to thank everyone for watching the webinar. And do please watch some of our other webinars that is coming up and some that has already been done. And with that, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or one of our extension educators with any of the questions that you may have or resources that I have provided. And with that, I just want to thank everyone again. Thank you.